Ah,
Hi, Sunny. Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And so, as people are coming through, I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to bring the meditation singing bowl to clear our energies. So let's go ahead and begin. All right. My bowl kept ringing and ringing. I was like, is that mine or yours?
They are in synchronicity together.
Okay, awesome. So, I don't know if anyone is here in the chat, go ahead and say hello. I see
Have you been
one
having a
person.
good week?
It's been hectic to be honest. Just a lot of stuff
So
that
the sun left Scorpio yesterday and is now
Mhm.
in Sagittarius, and that's a pretty big shift change from deep, dark, secretive Scorpio to rise and shine, energetic Sag.
I I feel it. I mean, because I think both you and I have Scorpio in our charts, and yeah. So lately, it's been like burning the midnight oil.
Yes.
Burning the candle on both sides of the candlestick.
I just said that recently to someone. I'm burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah. And I was sweating earlier. I was like, damn. There's a lot that's actually going on energetically, but also
Yes.
personally. And
Yes.
so, Norma Lice says, hello, hello, honey.
Hello. She came in at 0707.
Oh, for me, it's 4:07. I see that.
Okay.
You're you're feeling that
Hello.
way too. Hello, Topaz.
Love that
Mhm.
stone.
Yeah. So, I wanted to ask you. I don't know if you know this at the top of your head, but what stones are good for the
This
new moon?
energy
Yeah.
that we're in.
Yeah.
So that would be smoky quartz, lapis, clear quartz, and I can never say this one,
Labradorite.
labradorite.
Mhm.
Those fall under Sagittarius rulership.
Okay.
And, I don't always list all of them in my article, but I think some others that fall under Sag are sodalite.
Mhm.
I can't picture what sodalite looks like, but most of us have some lapis or clear quartz, right?
Okay. Yeah, it was funny, that you mentioned that
Let's
because
see what I have in my handy dandy pocket today. I always put stones in my pockets.
oh, okay,
Let's see.
yeah.
Rose quartz. I think this is hematite.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Excuse me.
Yeah, so by the way, guys, Sunny is a bit under the weather, so, thank you, Sunny, for being here. Not at your best, but, we appreciate you.
Well, I'll be right back, okay?
Okay, alright, thank you. Alright, guys, so, what I was saying was Sunny is a bit under the weather, and yeah, I don't have my latest candle here, but I do have this one. So we were talking about candles, and this one here is self love. And I just recently created this. And so, if you guys are interested, this actually has the rose quartz crystal and some other crystals. These are from Madagascar, and it smells lovely. And so, yeah, so let me go ahead and bring Miss Sunny back.
I apologize. I tell you, I start to talk and my throat gets crazy. I was in the presence of I guess I can tell everybody now, I've kind of been keeping it close to my vest, but I did get gainful employment recently after 6 months of unemployment.
Congratulations.
It's been a rough 6 months, but I found a really great crew of down to earth people, very refreshing attitudes, very helpful. But I had to go out of town to another office where they are for a couple of days for the onboarding and training. And that was going okay. But the last trainer that I was with on the second day, I mean, I don't usually get uptight about being around germs or sick people because I've always been pretty, you know,
Open.
sturdy, or you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I rarely get sick. Well, this girl, I tell you, across the table, she was coughing and sneezing and hacking, and we were apart, right? I was like, okay, well, let's get this done and get me back on the road. And then she started coming over and she was like hovering over me, typing on my laptop, like really close. And I was really
Mhm.
getting uptight. I could feel my whole body just like, oh God, she's so sick. And here the next day, so then I started at the different office, which is near me, on Wednesday. And I'm never sick. And I've had this throat sinus guck, and haven't been able to lay out because it's a brand new job, and you got to show up, right?
Mhm.
So I'm going to do my very best to kind of pace my voice. I notice when I try to talk too much is when I want to cough a lot. So if
That's
I'm a
okay.
little
You can
slower,
slow and easy and drink some water, tea.
yeah,
We have that.
my
We got
lemon water. I've got my lemon. I've been drinking lemon and honey and tea. So that's the story on that. And it's so interesting um, how cycles in your life go, because it was during that last um, Jupiter transit and Sun Venus conjunction in 2012 when I was laid off the last time. I'm in the real estate business, and I get laid off just about every time there's a recession. And in my career, this would have been the fourth one. And I will tell you, at the beginning of the summer, it was probably my scariest one because I'm so much older and I don't have family. So I
Mhm.
was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But here we are, 6 months later. I've managed, and it's not been easy, but I can look back and say I've survived. And I think when we go through things like that, it's a testimony to our resilience.
Mhm.
We can learn just how little we really need to get by. And in this new moon in Sagittarius today, or is it tomorrow? It's tomorrow. I'm confused about what day it is. We're on Tuesday, the 22nd. The sun
Mhm.
enters Sag today. So tomorrow, the new moon in Sag, let's see, there on the West Coast is 2:37 p.m. and here on the East Coast, 5:57 p.m. So we're ahead of it tonight. But an interesting configuration along with this new moon is what we call a stellium. A stellium is when three or more planets are in the same sign. And we've got the moon and sun, of course. That's what makes it a new moon in Sag, with Venus and Mercury in Sag. So those four planets are all lined up together. And Venus and Mercury are really personal planets. These are close to the Earth. They move quickly. We tend to respond energetically to them. And so, with news coming, money coming, that's Mercury and Venus is your love, your money, your communications, anything mechanical. In Sagittarius, Sag is all about fire and forward motion, and they want their freedom. It's about breaking free from convention and searching out a deeper philosophy in life. And if you know any Sages, they don't like to go along with anything trendy or a fad. They
Mhm.
are the trailblazers. They want to go out there and burn a trail. It's represented by the centaur, and his whole journey in life was being mortally wounded, and it was through his pain that he taught others how to heal. And just like, and I'm not the Lone Ranger out here. I'm not trying to say, oh, poor, pitiful me, I've been unemployed. I'm just saying it to reach out to those other people who are now unemployed or looking at a layoff or have been laid off as well, that it's through our pain quite often that we learn a lot of lessons about resilience and adversity.
Mm-hmm.
And if life were all smooth and honey and roses all the time, there'd be no, like, what do you do when you um, have the rug pulled out from under you? You get very innovative, right? You get
Mm-hmm.
very brainstormy, like, what can I do? What do I need to do? You get out of your routine.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of it, it's not even having a routine. You're just day to day taking your wellness meter on, am I okay today? Is the light bill paid today? And
Yeah, my son's bus driver was like, "Yay, 5 days, no school." I
oh,
said, "5 days for my son. What about me?" Like,
right, right.
I need a
It's
vacation. I don't have time for a vacation.
it's so weird how another part of this energy is being aware of our perspectives. And I've also connected Sagittarius a lot with forgiveness. And, you know, you can look back on people that one of the weirdest things about my new job is there's a connection with one of the people to a really horrible person from 4 years ago,
Oh,
who
no.
was an attorney that was the reason I resigned a prior job. He's a really, really awful guy. And
Uh-huh.
one of these new attorneys at this place is his neighbor. And when I made that connection, I just went, oh, what a small world, like, you know how close I came to filing a bar complaint against this guy? I mean, he's one of the most unethical, creepy people I've ever come across. And in the legal field, I've come across a lot of creeps.
Mhm.
So I keep brainstorming about, okay, what is my lesson here? What's the universe trying to present to me? And what keeps coming up in my mind and what I wrote about is our perspectives, right? So I've harbored a lot of anger towards that guy and wanted him to hurt and wanted to, give him trouble with his law license. But every time I would just go, he's not worth it. He's not worth the trouble. They tend to put their money up and follow the money, and
Mhm.
they somewhat insulate themselves from ethics violations. So, it seems like it's the distant past, and then all of a sudden it's right in the present. And I'm like, I love this new position. I'm very independent. Nobody's hovering or, people leaving me alone. I know what my job is. I show up, I do my job, I can leave. They have really good benefits. And so I'm like, well, how am I going to put this in perspective so that it doesn't become an issue with some brand new experience? So a lot of this energy is about changing our perspective on things that we feel have hurt us in the past or people who have hurt us. So, in the twin flame journey, I think quite often what we are faced with is seeing that person that we feel hurt by, that most everybody is good natured and they don't set out to be horrible and hurt people.
Mhm.
They're probably hurting themselves and
Mhm.
often cannot control what they do. And so we perceive, oh, they're, this or that, and have a negative feeling when really, it's an opportunity to hone in on what are your dreams and wishes, because Sagittarius rules the natural ninth house of the zodiac wheel. And that's where our visions and our dreams and, you know, um, long journeys and our faith and you know uh, deeply spiritual. So I think we can all agree that the twin flame journey is deeply spiritual because um, quite often you are alone trying to figure out what the heck happened, or what's going on, or why did this happen, or why did they treat us that way, or, you know, why are there so many other people influencing what you seemingly perceive to be what would be for you? Well, maybe it's not. And so, yeah, my new perspective is I'm just dying for the guy who's the neighbor to ask me about it. And, maybe take the opportunity to say, well, look, just don't learn the way I did, that he'll smile in your face and stab you in the back. People cross paths for different reasons, and we don't always understand why. But in that little capsule of an example, um, that's I'm anxious to see how it plays out. I'm not going to say or do anything, but certainly if it approaches me, it's like, yeah, that was really a crappy experience. I hope he doesn't treat you the same way. I'm
Mhm.
glad I'm not his neighbor. Let's put it that way. But
Mhm.
something to bring some buoyancy to our heart and our spirit, because, I think we can also all agree that life is hard enough and chaotic enough without letting exterior energies influence whether we're having a good day or a bad day. And so, in a nutshell, the Sagittarius new moon is all about freedom and wanting to break the chains that bind, break out of that um, mindset that harbors negativity or makes you feel down or makes you question your own self-worth. And, I've interviewed all summer, and just about every interview, they've left me with the impression that, you're old enough to retire, you should retire. And somewhere in me is just this feeling of, I haven't finished yet. What would I do if I retired? I have purpose still left to do things. And so that's another sort of lonely feeling, like you're left alone to figure out, what is your self-worth? What are you here to contribute?
Well, I can add to that because this was my experience yesterday, as a matter of fact. So I went to the grocery store, to Safeway, and obviously, people are shopping for their Thanksgiving
Yeah.
meals and things like that. And there was a Hispanic gentleman that was working the line, and he was an older man. Okay, and I seen this, from a distance. Okay, I was in the line for a while. This dude was like, beep.
Ah!
Oh,
Yeah.
beep. You want a bag? Bag is 8 cents. Oh, yes. I need a bag. Okay, yes. And he was just going slow as molasses, right?
Right.
And then when it was my turn, he was like, and I think he had an earpiece or something. I don't know. And he was like, I don't need a break. I love my job, because, I don't have no family here. So my family's in Miami.
Oh, he
And
started telling you about himself.
I was like, I didn't catch on until later on. And then like one of the managers, he was like, "Hey, Louise, you need to take a break. Just go ahead, take a break." So I think the correlation is, if you're older, you're
Yeah.
slower, even
Yeah.
though that he felt like he had purpose, because, I
That
mean, he
is
doesn't
so
have
true.
he doesn't have family. B, he wants to be. He was telling me, I want, people. If I go home, there's nobody there. He
Yeah.
was telling me in his language or his accent,
Oh,
and I was like, oh, I understand. But I feel the frustration from the manager, that
yeah.
he was just going way too slow. So
Right.
even though that, he was given an opportunity to work a line, but during the holiday season, that might have not have been like the best,
Right.
thing. So yeah,
Maybe
but
he should be the guy that escorts you out with your stuff to your car.
Well, that, or maybe, monitoring, make sure nobody's like stealing stuff, because there's a lot of that going on these days,
Yeah.
especially up here in Washington. But yeah, I've seen that firsthand yesterday about this gentleman. So,
Well, I am still doing the part-time job at a retail store,
mhm,
and
mhm.
the incidence of shoplifting has just, this one guy one night, what I happened to catch out of my eye were three policemen escorting this guy with his hands handcuffed behind his back. So I eventually made my way into this back area and they had all this merchandise. This guy probably didn't weigh 100 pounds wet, skinny little guy with a big coat on. And he must have had $1,000 worth of merchandise laid out on the floor that they had found him shoplifting. And he
What?
was, yeah, he was putting it in his coat and stuff and then taking it like to the dock area to put in bags. And he was like staging these bags of stolen merchandise where the dock is, which no one other than employees should be. But he kind of blended in with the guys that work on
Oh,
the
so
dock.
he kind of knew like the store.
Yeah.
So maybe he was a ex-employee or something, because nobody would have known.
It was a lot of merchandise. And one night, it was pretty much closing time. And some other ladies kind of knew what was going on because they'd been watching him in another area. But he had like all of this Ralph Lauren polo clothes, which are really
Oh.
expensive. And he
Mhm.
just had a big armful of them and he went straight out the door. He did not stop. And so one of this little short manager lady, she's chasing him. I was like, you probably don't want to chase the guy. You know what I mean? It's like, leave it to the security or whatever. She chases him out. He jumps in a car and she actually got a picture of the license plate. But from what they say, all of that really does increase during this time. And people have, been fighting layoffs and inflation. And, it's desperate times, different desperate people. So I think it's also really wise of any of us that are out and about, just be really aware of our environment and
And
don't take
protect
anything for
yourself.
granted.
Protect yourself.
Yeah.
Guys, don't wear your best jewelry out shopping
Yeah.
these times, or, because you never know who's watching, especially if you have a nice designer handbag that you're shopping around with.
Right.
Like, there was an incident where somebody followed a lady because they saw that she had a designer bag,
Wow.
and they robbed her from her home.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really bad where I live, and I just saw that we had 3, like, murders, like, shootings and stuff, that happen here, and it's really bad. But see, it's all about there's not enough security, and you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
especially in my state. So,
There's been that whole rebellion against the system, so to speak.
well, did you
Um,
see that in California that that state turned red?
I have not. I've not been watching. I haven't been watching. I tell you, I have this plumber that's been trying to get here because I had my water bill went up $55 in 2 months. And I know I've had this leak here and this leak there, but nothing like really big. But evidently, you put all those leaks together. Well, like a little while ago, he said, will you be home in the morning? My day tomorrow is I work from 8 to 5 downtown and 6 to 11 at a retail store.
Mhm, mhm.
It's like, where is their time? So I'm grateful to be able to do it though. I mean,
Well,
I've been,
I have an answer for you, but I know you won't like it.
what?
Your twin. Tell him to come around.
Oh, I don't even know. I don't even know where he is or what he does anymore for years. It's been years.
Mhm. I'm just saying, like, maybe it's time to come fix the leaky faucet.
No, I don't think plumbing was his thing.
Oh, okay.
This is actually because that's the other, I was telling you, I was clearing off these files. I do this Medicare work in the fall, and this is actually one of my Medicare clients that does plumbing on the side.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Shubaka, I'm really sorry about your dog. That sucks. I'm so sorry.
What happened here?
She had to euthanize her
Oh,
dog. I am so
oh,
sorry.
I'm so sorry too, honey. So Shabaka's going through it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, what Sagittarius, being sort of all about out of the lines and wanting to not go with the trends, and they don't like fads. So, this is a good time to explore new hobbies, new interests, just like your grief for your beloved dog. As hard as it is, we have to make ourselves uh, utilize our mind. Oh, I had a dog die of lymphoma, and he was way too young. I'm so sorry. I still think about that dog. Um, you know, I've been around both my parents as they were dying, and both of them talked about seeing our pets who had died. They'd go into a nap and come out and say, "Oh, I was petting." Now let's see, there was Beanie and McKeever. But anyway, so I think our dogs, it won't be the last time you see him. I'm so sorry. That's very sad. We'll send you some extra prayers.
oh yeah, definitely.
So you've really experiencing a lot of loss. That's an
Mhm.
emptying of the proverbial cup. And I think this energy that we're going through over the year, actually the last 2 years, is all about that emptying out. We have to empty out the guck, and sometimes that means losing things special to us. Um, if we can look at it as an opportunity to have a fresh start or to get some kind of exhilaration out of what's new to come. I mean, I know these are all easier to say than to do,
Mhm.
but it really is about, you know, being strong minded and not letting the grief take you down. Um, whether it's a family member or a pet, wherever they are. I read this book once. It was written from the perspective of the deceased dog, and it
Mhm.
was saying to the owner, don't grieve for me and the love you had for me. Please go find you another pet to carry on the love, to respect the love that we had.
Mhm.
So I know every time I've lost a dog, I've said, I'll never have another dog. I'll never have another dog. And I end up getting twos, two at a time.
Uh-huh.
So, but we're human, and these are all very natural feelings. And I think the opportunity we have this fall going into the end of the year is sort of a crescendo of very intense energies that and combinations we've been experiencing for months. I think we're all tired and fatigued from all the shifts. You think you're in a seam of energy, and then it gets tossed up and you have to adjust again. You might be having body aches, and Sagittarius is all about the hips and thighs. So Louise Hay and your You Can Heal Your Life associated hip and thigh issues with chronic complaining and problems moving forward. And I think that is part of human nature, that we don't really like change. We don't really like, not knowing. That's why, we all spend a lot of time trying to figure out what's going to happen. And but it's just not nature to know all the answers. And I think that's where the opportunity in the spiritual world gives us to, what is your faith? What do you believe in, that believes that, you know whatever you're experiencing, it's only natural for it to balance out and for the scales to change. So It can't stay the same. And the more we can process our hurt and anger and grief to transmute it, I think the quicker that we find the new things and the new energies that help us to heal. Um, Sagittarius is the gypsy, the scholar, philosopher. To an extreme expression, Sagittarius is the fanatic. So it's really about trying to maintain some kind of middle of the road, when you've got all these shifting energies going on and ups and downs, to no matter what, just try to, straight and narrow, have your vision and your dream about what you're trying to manifest, and don't let too much sway you from that. And I swear we get tested, don't we? Losing a beloved pet is a huge test of, trying to stay in some semblance of normalcy and embracing that everything is as it should be. And that's a very hard thing to embrace. But Sagittarius, that's what Sagittarius demands of us. And you might feel like, going on sabbatical. That's one way to process depression and grief. But mainly it's about, look at things from a different perspective. I remember my dog Mowgli that died of lymphoma. I remember took him to a critical care vet that, if there's any hope for your animal, it's this place way out in the country, and you never want to have to go there because it is critical care. And I really liked the vet and everything. And she told me he had lymphoma, and I didn't understand it because a few days before he was a perfectly healthy dog doing fine. And then all of a sudden, the first vet said he had pancreatitis, withdraw food, and then he just like withered every day. And so we're sitting there talking. He's laying in my lap and he's really weak, and he's just not the same dog that I had. He was 8 years old, I think. And she was like, well, we can try chemo, and this might work and that might work. And I just looked at her. I was like, my dog is not a lab experiment. If you cannot definitively tell me that this medicine will cure him, I have to let him go. I mean, that's what we have to do. They've been so good to us. We can't beleaguer their pain, right? It's often said, we're more humane to our animals than to human beings in hospice. You know what I mean? It's like that whole, what is that, Hemlock Society, where it's kind of the euthanizing in human form. The Hemlock Society, hemlock is a poisonous plant. And if you're a member of that society, you have access to these pills. And if you're terminally ill, you can choose when you die instead of, lingering away. And it's horrendous. It's very morbid. But so we also, in this configuration, have a trine to Jupiter, and Jupiter has stationed to go direct. When was that? That is also tomorrow, just within an hour of the new moon. Jupiter's been retrograde since July. So think back to July, if there were things that maybe weren't moving forward for you, maybe a trip you planned got delayed. So now with Jupiter stationing direct, those plans should move forward. Maybe you were going to enroll. Sag is all about higher education. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So maybe the summertime you felt inspired to go back to school, or you were looking into classes. And now with Jupiter moving forward, that will materialize. So things that might have been delayed or hung up back in July for the last few months, they should be moving forward now. So we have a lot of shifts again going on. I feel kind of like a broken record with our lives lately, because all of it is, this is intense. This is a lot of change. Hold on. Be mindful of your present moment and how you talk to yourself, right?
Mhm.
Don't beat yourself up. And if you need a day to just crawl in a cave and rejuvenate, it's a-okay. And I know that not every culture or country celebrates Thanksgiving, but we are at Thanksgiving week, and you know, whether you celebrate it or not, any time is a good time to give thanks for what you do have, and uh, not hold on to the grief for what you've lost. And that's hard.
Mhm.
It's hard, especially when you've experienced tons of loss and it's something that you're very familiar with. So that's the mission, is to Sag is that buoyancy in your spirit. Uh, One of the cliche memes about Sagittarius is, um, uh-oh, her feet hit the floor, the devil goes and hides, or the devil says, oh shit, she's up. Sagittarius, hits the floor early in the morning, they go all night, and they don't take much crap from people. And so that might be just a little extra oomph that we need. you know I think a lot of people that come together in these forums are probably pretty watery energy, a lot of psychic faculty within our charts and everything, because we're interested in this kind of work.
Mhm. Mhm.
So Sag and the fire might be just the steam we need to kind of snap out of our Neptunian kind of fog,
Mhm.
which we've been under too, and the exhaustion of the Uranus square that we've had since early spring. So we're really coming to the end of the year and the end of some configurations that have been extremely challenging and tiring. So it may be just a good time to kind of slow down and stop and smell the roses.
Mm. I did. I was thinking about what you were saying about like trying to figure out what you need to do because um I just finished the Virgo reading and let's see here. There was it was something perfect in alignment with what you were talking about. I don't know if let's see.
uh, well, you know I think if there's one word to describe the next couple of weeks, it's perspective.
Mhm.
Keeping our perspective open and flexible.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I
because
have to
I think
cough
that's
again.
what happened with the last time we had the reading, but I would like to read what this postcard says.
Okay.
Okay. It says, Dearest you, there is only one you, and you have a unique path and a special purpose. You're supposed to have a specific experience in this world and meet certain people, but then it is up to you how you live, how awake you choose to be, and how willing you are to grow and strip away what's false. Don't compare yourself to others. It's easy to think a person is happier just because their outside looks good according to society standards, but you can't know anyone's internal experience. Compare yourself only to your past self. See how far you've come. Don't be distracted by what others are doing or accomplishing. Stay focused on what inspires you. That's how you get successful and find happiness. What you want, okay, this is what I want what you have now, not what someone else has. We love you immensely and know your journey ahead is sparkling with miracles and wondrous things and trust. Loving you forever and ever.
That's beautiful.
It really is. And so that just goes to show you that if you want to be successful, if you want to get ahead, don't put yourself like, don't compare yourself to other people and what other people have. Really, really look at what you have right now and how far you've come from, like a time in your past and where you're at. And I know some people are like, well, I had more in the past and blah, blah, blah. But if you just stay focused more on yourself and and work on things that make you happy, then you'll have more of that coming. You just have to work for it, you know. That's where what I got out of that, you know. So yeah, I mean, just focus on you, you know. And I think that a lot of times, you know, people they compare themselves to like why aren't they suffering? You know, how come they have it good?
You
You
never
know.
know.
Yeah, you don't. Just like I don't want to bring this up, but you know the whole thing about the Pelosi's and stuff.
I've been working. I've not kept up with current events. What is that? What's going on?
Well, now they're changing the story about like how he got attacked and I don't know, and then she have withdrawn from her position.
Isn't she like 80 something years old?
Right.
And she's been there 40 years, I think.
But I wonder why. So what
I'm
they
going
were
to be a good
saying
girl and not say what I think.
so what they were saying was that, you know, she wanted to train like a young buck, you know, to take over the helm, but you know, she already had her favorite pick. And I'm like, oh, okay. So what you want to step down because you know you got the inside scoop? Well, she should be good and well off anyways. You know, I mean, how many more years is she gonna live? You know what I
Well,
mean?
there's a theory that that's an actress and that the real one has been in Guantanamo Bay for a couple of years.
I mean, that could be a case. Have you noticed that there's a lot of actors coming out with illnesses and like,
And
why is it all coming out now?
well, one theory might be that people are ready for it, and maybe people haven't been ready to see things out of the lines or differently, right? I think they call it MK Ultra.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah. And so now if there's been enough absurdity and enough consistency in the absurdity, and what is it in our society that we give so much weight and meaning to Hollywood people? What what is that? What is that?
Well, it's the media, and there's always like celebrities. You know, it's always being pushed to us in those ways. So,
You know, it's an exciting time. I mean, Sagittarius energy, a stellium in Sagittarius new moon is all about we're ready for the truth. Give it to us, give it to us straight. You
mm-hmm,
know,
mm-hmm,
don't assume how I'm going to react or what I think, because a lot transpires in your life that you never thought you would get through, or things that maybe happened to you 20 years ago and how you feel about it now are totally different than you felt 20 years ago.
mm-hmm.
Time and age and experience, there's a lot to be said for, you know, our memoirs. And maybe that would be another thing. We should all be writing, our journals of things in our life that we perceived one way, and now for whatever reason, shift of energy or other things that have happened, that hey, we see it differently. And one of the cliche sayings that is worth saying here as a reminder notice is rejection is protection. Somebody you think you should have been with and you perceive they rejected you, how about looking at it as they had a lot of problems and it was for your higher good to not be in the thick of those problems. And the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that comes to my mind is drug and alcohol abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we've been, in a lot of Neptunian transits over the last 2 years. We've had lawsuits about opioid uh, addictions. The pharmaceutical companies fall under the Neptunian rulership. We've had a lot coming out about their money and motivations and questionable activities.
Oh yeah,
So,
like I don't know where I was hearing this. Like I don't know. Sometimes I let stuff play, and it's like subliminal messages, but
yeah.
I think there was one thing that I heard that it was like TB, tuberculosis is like it's a curable disease, and the medication is very cheap, but you know the way it's administered and the amount, kind of like, have you had your fourth dose?
Right. Well, this is even older than I can remember. But my mother had a younger sister, and the family story was that when she was a little girl, back then they would put you in an insane asylum if you had TB.
Oh.
That's where they would. So even, and that probably was in the 30s, would have been when she was a little, my mom's sister would have been a little girl, like probably in the mid 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And they would separate people who tested for TB by putting them in an insane asylum. Now, I don't know if maybe they had fevers and hallucinated, and so they thought they were crazy, but that was very common back then. It really is disturbingly interesting to dig behind some of our beliefs over the decades, and even going back centuries, really, if you want to go back to the Vatican. And Sag is all about bringing that stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Aren't a lot of Sagittarius people into like crime and punishment, or
it
like
is the courts and justice system, yes.
yeah, yeah, that's what I thought.
And I've noticed a lot of headlines, and like I said, I haven't really been able to sit down and watch, but like finally certain major media outlets taking a certain laptop seriously. Um,
I don't
I
take
know we're walking a
nothing.
thin line here. I don't want to ding anything uh, or cause a ding on the channel, but
Well, you know what? I've lost so many subscribers, and it's unnatural.
well, I'm sure it's the algorithm. So everyone in the chat, if you're not subscribed, subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe and
Yeah,
share
especially if you were
Scorpio Moon
unsubscribed
Intuition.
and didn't even know that you were unsubscribed, resubscribe.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
I
thank
mean,
you all for
and all
watching.
this stuff with Twitter, I have been keeping up with that a little bit lately. It's
Hmm.
so interesting. And I really wish I knew how much of it was true, because they act like a big segment of the workforce there are having mental meltdowns. And I'm like,
Well,
are
imagine
people
like
really that disturbed?
what is the political preference of the people that work in Twitter?
Do
Think
you
about
have a
it.
Twitter account? I've never
Yes,
had
I
Twitter.
do. I did it when I found out that Elon Musk was taking over, but that was when there was speculation or just the first wave of him buying it, and I just stayed on the platform. I
So do you interact with it daily? I mean,
No,
I
but
don't
I
even.
see some interesting crap that goes like. But what was it that you like to bring to the table?
The truth.
Okay, yeah, yeah. You want to know the truth?
Yeah.
Okay, let's dig for it.
Yeah. You know, it's exciting and scary all at the same time, because we're talking about belief systems that, generations of people have developed all of their family history around, and memories. And honestly, um, there are these old books that talk about a race or species called the Tartarians. They were giants. And of course, a lot of people would say those are, mythology and not true, but there's actually been skeletal bones and, ancient archives that support that there's been some other larger species on this globe.
Mm-hmm.
And so you take things like that and, you know, at least be open minded to believe that things could be different. And for a lot of people, and I think it's people who are less spiritual, I think those of us that are more spiritual are more thirsty and hungry for, just give us the truth. I can handle it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all of this sort of smoke and mirrors and lies and deception that drives us crazy.
Have you noticed that though? It's like they I don't know if this is a part of the whole master plan, but do you notice that there's a lot of like chaos that's going on and
Yeah.
a lot of like anarchy?
Well, and
Like I don't know what else to
when
say.
you were talking about the crime and everything, what comes to my mind is, and you know that I still haven't dug out that book I refer to, Mega Trends 2000.
Mhm.
It talks about human society evolving into not individual states that more but more regions and hubs for supplies, that we all are basically going to be self-governing, and not this, elite at the top down, wage slave kind of, hamster
I've
wheel.
heard that another thing too, like, you know how we have all the different states and every state is being governed by its state,
Right,
and then there's like the federal government, where
right.
the federal has like at least some, you
Taken
know,
over
yeah,
more
they've actually taken over more so than
it was ever intended.
exactly, and so I think that there's like a imbalance of like power and authority, and so I think that at the local level, there are like certain, you know, politicians that want to take matters into their own hands and really do something about that because,
Well, one of the things that I was saying a while back was, to check who your local sheriff is. That, and I don't know if y'all remember the old movie with Kevin Costner about Robin Hood. It was like the old story of Robin Hood, and
Mhm.
Kevin Costner was the main role, and it was a pretty fun movie. And there was a sheriff of Nottingham, right? And he was like the evil sheriff that just you know, wanted the wealth for all his and everything. Well, that's what it reminded me of when there was a journalist talking about we should all know who our sheriff is for our jurisdiction because they have a lot more power than even they recognize. And a couple of things to be aware of, that a lot of our local political offices require that person to be bonded, and if they're not bonded, they're illegitimate. And a lot of them go into office not even realizing they're supposed to be bonded. So if you see like a lot of hooey unfair things going down, that might be one place to stop is, we as the public have every right to demand of our officials, show me your bond. And there's a website called bonds to win, I think, .com or .org. I think
Mhm.
it's nonprofit, but it tells like a layperson like we are about how to determine um, who's bonded, if they're not bonded, where to report that. And that in itself can kind of take care of some of the corruption. And then with sheriffs, this was a local story of someone getting in a scuffle at a hospital because they refused to wear a face mask. And the story was about, if you're confronted anywhere with, so you're supposed to wear a face mask, that you call your sheriff because it's not a law and they can't make you do that. But so many of these entities just roll roughshod over all of us thinking we don't know any better. And we have been somewhat compliant, honestly.
Mhm.
And so, it's interesting how the last couple of years have made people feel like, what would you do if you were just all on your own and you didn't have any big entity telling you, you know, how much taxes to pay, or, in certain foreign countries, they give you a water allowance, and, it can be very restrictive. So when you talk about crime, I think there's this. purging going on of corruption being exposed. And it's like a lot of things, like I notice in Medicare, there are a whole lot of Medicare patients, but fewer and fewer providers. And that creates a problem, especially like at VA hospitals. And so the whole, like this whole structure we've had and relied on for decades, there's something like erupting from it or coming out of it or being exposed. So we're in this fallout of all trying to find our footing about, well, what if it's just up to you? You know, what if it's just up to you to figure out what you got to do?
Well, I
And
think that's where that's why the service is there. Like, even for myself,
right.
my son is autistic, and I can't do it all by myself. I need, you know, I don't know what you call it, social services or whatnot to
Yeah.
help me, or, Department of Health, and I need, other people to, like, help find those
Help us.
resources.
Yeah.
Right now we're in the middle of finding a, company to be a cohort for my son to kind of like shadow, some people so that he could learn how to work
Nice.
in an environment. Yeah, and I really like those services for him,
Right.
but it's really difficult because without those people, I wouldn't know like what to do, and I'm so busy. Like,
Right.
even like his teacher was like, "Well, did you set up the appointment?" And she worded it nicely. She
Yeah.
didn't say like, "Did you contact him yet?" Like,
Right.
I mean, we're on the holiday season, so I told her, I said, I didn't contact them, but I will do it now. And then I contacted her back and see when her availability was. So she's really helpful, and I'm very thankful for the people. And that's one of the reasons why I'm still here in Washington. It's because,
It
you know,
offers
um,
more.
I'm already a part of like this system, and it is helpful. I hope that my son could find work, but it's questionable still, I'm
Yeah.
not 100%, but at least we tried.
Yeah.
So, but
And, even with that system, um, what Megatrends 2000 would have you believe is will involve in more community-based support systems.
mhm,
Again, not the big brother overlooking and dictating to people, but coming up from the roots of community of people who have experience, with certain conditions and help each other. That whole age of Aquarius, the humanitarian, that we all help each other, that we're
mhm.
not looking up to a Mars masculine know it
Like,
all
kinda
be
like an
all
overlord to say.
overlord. That's or sheriff of Nottingham. Yeah, that's a great, yeah. And so I think we're in this weird transitory period between breaking down structures that no longer work and people awakening to, we can find a better way. And the thing that comes out in my head that's blaring, but it might be because I've been in the legal field for 40 years, is you notice when there's this cycle in TVs and commercials about the new drug that comes out, and then within 2 or 3 years, the class action suit that comes out for the damages of that drug. And there's this whole cycle between,
They already pre-planned that, honey, because they're
yeah,
in it with the
excuse me,
government. So it's like the judge gets a cut. It's a business. So
yeah,
it's like, I've learned this because this was about like the whole autism thing.
right.
So when autism came out, the very first ones that got affected got big payouts. And then they passed a law that I
You
don't I f
couldn't,
like,
you,
yeah, you
they
couldn't do it
limited
after a certain
liability.
period
Yeah.
of time, and then, they would say, "Okay, well, we can put them on disability with minimal, payouts." Like, that's an incentive, because, my son got the hot lot of the vaccine that he
Well,
had for
and
the MMR shot.
Look
shocked.
how unfair and unjust that is that they put people in those jammed up positions where for
Look
your
at
kid
the
to get
whole
in
life, my
school,
whole life.
right,
Like, I
right,
had to deal with that, dealing with an autistic kid crawling out of a window, and at all times of day, I was really tired,
right,
and I was always afraid that my son was gonna be out on the street, like,
right,
rolling around, because he's, left the neighborhood, and, like, he was like a little Harry Houdini. He was very intelligent, like,
right.
and it was just like the way that he was processing information. It was like really surreal. But anyways, now he's regressed. So it was very
And I
difficult
think
to,
that those time periods have revealed these truths that are really hard to accept. But that's what our society is going through, I think, is things
well,
that no
that's
longer
just one
work.
aspect of my son being an experiment. That's what I feel. And that's why, with the food supply, I mean, everything
I
is
know.
about like
Manipulation.
it's all effed up. Like, I'm tired of it, I can see
Yeah.
that, it's all, like, interconnected in that way, but, I
If we can
digress.
find that place that is a beam of light within our heart that has that knowingness that things are not as they appear, that we are here to awaken others to some very hard facts. And it takes a long time to get people to look at things differently. We all know friends and people like you could start a conversation with them, and before you get the sentence out, they're going, no, no. They
Right.
just do not want to hear any different perspective. And these energies are in are a great opportunity. It'll be interesting when we meet next to hear about people's family gatherings over the holidays, because a lot of families have broken apart because of political views. And so now it's like time to, say the hard thing, say the thing that I know in my family, I was always the person that said the thing nobody wanted to say, but everybody felt, and my mom was like my little cheerleader, she'd be like, yeah, yeah, you're right. And my dad would just be like the Pisces going, oh, give me a drink.
Yeah.
So, if you can find the spark of excitement of the truth coming out and that things getting better, that we
Mhm.
don't have to be these drones, schlucking on a treadmill to the
Like,
tune of these overpaid positions like the P people, right? And I think there's just an awful lot of corruption and criminal activity that,
there's a lot even in the corporate world. Like, I've
yeah.
noticed that there's a lot of layoffs that are going on, and it's like, who are the ones that they're keeping on board, you
Well,
know?
here's something that we should be watching too. And I haven't had time to do the research, but I do know that about 3 weeks ago, it was real near one of the last eclipses. This huge conglomerate called BlackRock
Hmm.
filed bankruptcy. And this is an international bankruptcy because the companies they own are international.
Mhm.
And I, I heard the number 248. They have ownership interests in 248 different companies. And those companies are like Starbucks, Google, Amazon, the big guys, right? So
Mhm.
if you have an ownership interest in Facebook, a lot of these media social platforms, if you have, so that has to do with the economy of paying the interest on their debt, where they buy each country's money, right? And they can't make their payments, so then they fall apart. And BlackRock was the big one, and it has fallen apart. It will take years for this to trickle down to all the different branches that it's going to take off to. But what I've noticed is those companies, partly owned by BlackRock, are the ones that have had big corporate layoffs. So there's something somebody knows about on a bigger level, and I guess it will trickle down to us eventually. But I do get excited when I hear about, like, I don't like Amazon because they've put so many small businesses out of business. And I know it's very convenient, and I know they have everything at great prices, but it's done a lot of damage just to like the moral value of society, right? Why do we think everything's supposed to be quick and convenient? Our forefathers and the people that explored and developed countries and cultures, they etched it out of the dirt. So, we all become somewhat lazy, wanting everything quicker, better, cheaper. And so, like all cycles, that has to implode. And what does it make us do? I think of things like, I guess the good word to use is widgets, like, the entrepreneur and everybody. This is the energy about what's the thing that you've always thought would make your life and other people's lives easier. What widget? Is it a little plastic gizmo that helps you wash your dishes, or, a household gadget or
You know
something?
what? I want to share something quick with you. So,
Sure.
me and my son, I was in the kitchen and I was like, you know what I want? I want a kitchen maid. Yeah.
Oh,
He said, we have a kitchen maid. I want a kitchen maid. And the kitchen maid is going to cook, it's going to clean.
would this be a robot?
Yeah, robot, like on the
Okay.
Jetsons. That's what I want.
I think they're
I
out
want
there.
Yeah, and I want this robot to do all, because I told my son I spend 3 hours in the kitchen just, like, doing the
Do
basic.
you have one of those Rumba floor cleaner things?
No, my brother does, that little, iRobot or something like that, that cleans the floor. I
Yeah.
I don't know, he has one, but, like, honestly, I have a Shark
Oh,
vacuum,
yeah.
and that sucks up real good. Like, I love the Shark vacuum, so I don't know.
Well,
I got Mercury on my chart, so,
if you can get excited about, seeing things alter and morph into things better, I think we're all connected to people or family who've lost a business or worked for a business that is no longer, um, one of my
Well, I've
hobbies.
I've just noticed that the whole economy and, like, like buying local and stuff like that, it's really difficult. I've seen that there's
It
several
is.
businesses that went out of business that has
Right.
been around for years.
I
They're
know.
no longer operational. Like, I didn't know there was a place called Pinecone Cafe, like, right up the street. The only way that I've known that it was anything was a news article that, I don't know, I follow.
Yeah.
Because I don't know nothing about where I live, and I've been here for 5 years, and, they from what I heard, they make really good hash browns, like the country style.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
wow, that's up the street at the Pinecone Cafe.
Right. Well, when the conveniences of the big Walmarts and Amazons are struggling, it makes us seek out, and that's what
Oh, that's another
Sagittarius
I
does.
wanna share something else. I've heard that the bracket with the $100,000, people who make that amount of
Oh,
money, they're shopping at Walmart now. They're not shopping at, like, the high-end stores, they're going to
yeah.
Walmart.
That is the prediction that the luxury lines, like fashion designer lines and things, are going to be something of the past. It's
Well, I don't know.
extravagant. It's
Well, I think it's just, like, they're gonna go through hard times, you
it's
know?
connected to children, those models and young girls and everything, that island. And, I mean, there's a whole lot of awful manipulation that has been the foundation of these mega fashion houses and corporations. And so all cycles end. And so I guess, what I'd like my message to be with a Sagittarius new moon is get excited for the freedom of not having those bonds of the big corporate, um, limiting our choices. You know what I mean? Like if you have to drive a little further, or if you have to come up on your own. I've had two neighbors tell me I need to do catering. I love to cook, and I can't eat but so much. So I'm always giving food to my neighbors, and they'll say, you need to start a little. Well, my mother used to do that. She grew up in a restaurant in the country. And so those cycles, that's what nature does, is it's the life, death, life cycle and everything. So I think we're going to start seeing the little ma and pa shop, or the little diner with, you know, uh, hardworking people that, well, they can't go out and find their favorite kind of sandwich. So by God, I'm going to rent this little place that used to be, a jewelry store, and let's make a diner or whatever the idea is. But my point is, you know, brainstorming what your interests are, reviving a hobby. Um,
Isn't that the saying goes that whenever there's like a recession, that's where innovation happens?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because things get limited. So you have to be more creative on getting the thing that you think makes you happy. And in the meantime, it might end up being something you totally had forgotten about.
Mm-hmm.
I love antiques, and I've always messed with antiques, whether it's been a little shop or now with Etsy and cleaning out the house. And yesterday, was that Sunday? Sunday, I went to this lady's house. I know her through dogs, and she's downsizing, and she's been like, would you please come and look at all this stuff and see if you can sell any of it? Oh my God, I brought home 5 boxes of
Ah,
every kind of pig. Her thing was pigs. So
oh, okay.
yeah,
Pigs
Lion
are
Mountain
good luck.
Relics is going to have a collection of pigs uploaded soon.
No,
Iron
no,
pigs, pig art, you name it, pig. She
yeah,
had.
no. There's a Korean tradition that if you dream of a pig, that's a good omen dream.
And in Native American philosophy, they represent irony because they really don't eat that much to have the weight they have. So it's like ironic that they're huge because they really don't eat that much.
Uh-huh.
My mother, when she was a child growing up in rural West Virginia, had a pet pig. It was on its way to the slaughterhouse, and she was a little girl and made them leave it with her. And that pig was raised like a dog. It had a concrete floor to its pen. It came in the house. And
Mhm.
the pig's name, she named it Caledonia, which I don't know if anybody here knows an old jazz musician named Cab Calloway, but he was famous for a song named Caledonia.
Mhm.
And that was my mother and her sister's entertainment, was being on the back porch barefoot playing 78 records. And so, fast forward from the 1920s to the 1950s, and the first home she bought after marrying my dad was on Caledonia Road. So it's so interesting if you really look at, your life and your family and associates and friends and their lives, how things are so connected. You have to believe that there's so much more than what meets the eye, right? And yeah, when you're talking about being, it's been kind of boring over the last few months. Remember, that was like 5 planets retrograde, and now slowly they're each stationing direct, and that is more activity and more to do. And so, I have been a small business owner. I've had plenty of friends as a mom and pop shop. Watching businesses like that go down the tubes is heartbreaking. So when you start seeing big corporations having major layoffs, those people have to go out and figure out a way to survive. And that's when innovation comes, And I know from being a Medicare agent, one of the sorely needed niches in our society is helping seniors transportation. Like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
always a huge problem, is finding affordable transportation to get someone from point A to point B. And
Mhm.
so we have an aging population that needs more support, or the autistic children as well need more support. So that's the age of Aquarius, where we all become more supportive of each other in our individual communities.
Mhm.
And it's an interesting time. And as hard as it can be to open our mind to change and being flexible on another perspective, which is all about seeing things from a different perspective, it's very exciting, and a lot can be created out of that. So
Mhm.
we just all need to help each other, stay, high vibe, not feed into the 3D. Nothing is as it appears. And, we're seeking the truth between coming out of our Scorpio time here this fall, now into Sagittarius. This is all about, we just demand the truth. And when you say about what's taking so long, I really think it's the numbers game. You have to have a majority of people on the same side to really affect a change. Because if you have people like 50-50 and you have neighbors against each other or family members against each other, you just create that sort of criminal tension, that sort of negativity. So I think for those of us that, have been ready for change for a long time, or maybe here to gently handhold people into another view of things without making them feel humiliated. Like, people hate to admit that they might have been wrong, or, like their steadfast, hard, fast position on something. They didn't have all of the information.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been duped to a certain extent. And instead of focusing on being duped, we need to get over it and just get to the truth. What do we do now? How do we get people in our society the services and support that they need? There's no reason for anyone to be hungry or without power or, clean water. There's just,
Well,
that's
that's the thing. It's like, now, like, everything, the prices are going up. But why?
manipulation of a select few elite families would be my answer.
I mean, but didn't they file for bankruptcy? I'm just saying. Like,
I do
I mean,
think
how
it's
much more can they get,
I do think it's teetering, and I don't know. We all have to kind of like research and do what we think feels right to us. I mean, it's a lot of intuition. Do you believe the QAnon movement, for instance?
I haven't heard from them in a while. It's like they kind
Well, they are out there. If you go and seek, you shall find.
oh, well, I guess I
Um,
wasn't looking. So I heard any.
right, right. We're all just trying to survive because of the high prices and, slower business and things. And um,
I just want my rent to go down. Like, they need to cut that thing in half. I'm
I
serious. Like,
know
it's extortion. And
it is extortion.
they're just riding that wave just because the neighbors are jacking it up. They're jacking mine up too. And I'm like, what?
It's greed.
Well, I mean, I guess, if I had the financial windfall that mostly people have, then I have more to play with, kind of like Monopoly and stuff. You know, Shit, I'm on that. What is that, Baltic Avenue?
I can't remember the names, but it's funny you said that because I feel like I saw something about the Monopoly game recently. Like it was made, like a game that was made edible, like it was made out of chocolate or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. There was something weird about a Monopoly game I saw recently.
I
You
might
know,
actually get that game again so I could play it with my kids.
yeah, they have like anniversary versions and, um, and that's what happened during the lockdowns is what family sat down and played games together, right?
Mhm.
And we've had rolling brownouts and blackouts. And so it's making family units do more together. And
Mhm.
I think what scares Big Brother is their strength in numbers. So when families stop infighting, or segments of society stop fighting each other and band together, you know, that's when pillars of power tremble. And I do think that what we're seeing, there is a lady on YouTube, I think her name is Nancy Drew, and she walks around Washington, D.C. with a camera. And
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
if anybody's been watching that, but there's some strange stuff going on up there.
Oh, recently?
Yeah.
Um,
And now what you brought up about Madam Speaker,
mhm.
um, I don't know. It's like drip, drip, drip. It's been dripping for years, and we just want a big old, fire hose of information. Bring it to us. We're ready. And I don't understand the delays myself because things have not been right for a very long time with our monetary system and structure of power and
We just need to throw it all away and just, like,
start over.
live off the land. Everybody gets a plot of land, and,
Yeah.
whoever is good at farming, they could farm. Whoever's good
Well,
at
that's the thing.
woodworking,
Every community has people with their strengths, and that's what humanitarian is everybody uses their strength to better the whole.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of lessons we're all learning now. I think a lot of it is to let go of the superficial things that don't really matter and focus on, you know, clean water and clean food and uh, supporting the more vulnerable people in the society,
That sounds good.
not being so self-centered.
Mhm.
And that's one of the therapies if you're feeling depressed or unmotivated. One of the therapies is, stop thinking about yourself so much and go help somebody.
Mhm.
Um, it works, and you might still be depressed, but at least your mind's off of it for a little while. And a lot of us don't care for the holidays. I mean, I think around Halloween, I start getting kind of a funky mood. There's nothing about the holidays that I look forward to. I think the whole process of choosing December 25th is flawed. I mean, some of the symbolism, I was seeing something about, I can't remember the gremlin's name, but it was like the opposite of Saint Nick. And he was like some kind of devil that would eat children, and parents would threaten their kids with, if you're not good, such and such is going to come eat you, and just all of this ancient symbolism that is not stuff we want to celebrate, but we're so programmed to these traditions and habits, nobody stops to think, what are you celebrating? And
Mhm.
so every year I look to try to figure out the best way to navigate. And one of the things that I've always thought about doing, I've not done it, is just going to a soup kitchen and serving soup. Or I've done some things at a local church, but then I get pissed off at the politics in the church. So you know I don't know what the answer is other than to be open to many possibilities and not having like that dialed in,
Tunnel
well, I'm only
vision.
going to have a good time if I do this, or it's only going to be good if this happens.
Mhm.
It's today. Do you have your health? Do you have shelter? Do you have food? You're blessed. Be grateful. And the more we can be grateful for the little that we have, or even be grateful for the struggle and the pain, that vibration is reflected. This is a quantum physics uh, lesson somewhat, that we have to be grateful right where we are, even if it's a really sucky place, in order for that vibration to manifest better things. And it works. It's just I guess I think part of it is our ego is so afraid of dying, that it tries to keep us down or attached to a negative thought pattern.
Mhm.
And it's that battle of the Kremlin, you know what I mean? And self-talk. So I know over the last few months, there have been times when I honestly didn't know how I was going to make it to the next day and what I was going to do for my mortgage payment or whatever. And every time I just resorted to sitting in the moment and sitting still and just being grateful for this opportunity to figure it out. And then, I'd get some obscure deposit that I wasn't expecting, or a job opportunity to make a little money short term or something. And so it's every day, and it's being mindful of every moment and how you speak to yourself, and only speak lovingly of yourself. And I believe this cold I have it's all about confusion. I'm confused. There's been a lot going on, and processing a lot of different information. I've manifested this horrible sinus cold, and I'm
You
annoyed
didn't
because sinus
manifest
problems are
that.
all
The
about being
lady was
annoyed.
all in your grill. Like,
I I know, and it's like throat, communication. I kind of feel like I'm
you
getting
should
on
have
a
said,
roll here
"Excuse me,
tonight. You know
ma'am,
what I
you
mean? It's like,
should
let me tell you
stay."
what I really think.
Yeah, you should stay up there. You don't need to come up here. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. And so, you know, this blows a lot of people away to try and think of traditions and things differently. And I don't know if it's a lesson for us to learn in empathy and tolerance. I have very close friends, my neighbors, they're all very traditional about how they spend Thanksgiving and Christmas. And, this year I just almost feel repulsed by it, like it's such a sham, and it's been a sham, and it's heartbreaking that it's a sham. And so, first coming to that, hitting that wall, and then picking up the pieces about, well, how do you make yourself feel better? I don't know. That's what I'm still every day. It's just, how can I make somebody's day better? What can I do to, you know, lighten somebody else's load? And so sometimes that's as simple as smiling at them and saying, have a good day, or complimenting them, and, I like your shoes, or whatever. Just
that's what this
simple
lady did
courtesies
to
and
me
kindness go a
today.
long way.
Like, I kid you not, I went to the corner store to get some package material, and, the lady was looking at my jeans, and she was like, "I love your jeans." I was like, "Thank you." I was like,
Didn't
it
that
was
make you
totally
feel
like,
good?
yeah, I didn't expect it. My jeans are a couple years old, but I know what she was talking about because I love my jeans too. They're like
Yeah.
really nice jeans, and for her to recognize it, she was like, "Yeah," she's like, "I'm so tall," and I was like, "Well, I'm short, honey, but you can see where the zipper is coming up." But yeah, yeah, she was like into it, and I told her, I said what type of jeans they were, and so we had a little conversation like that, and then I looked to the gentleman and I was like, "It's $20 for these envelopes?" He was like, "Oh, okay," and I was like, "Dang, $20? So much for going to the corner store." Like, so it's like, and it's going back to, okay, if I go to Amazon, it's gonna cost X, Y, and Z. I try to go to a corner store, but the corner store is like a chain. It's like Walgreens or whatnot. So I was, trying to do that because it was close by.
Right.
That was $20 for 4 envelopes is a lot of money.
It's overwhelming every day, the choices we make, and trying to do better. But all we can do is try to do a little better every day.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, that little comment like lifted my mood.
Yeah,
I mean, because it was just something, that I wasn't expecting. So yeah.
exactly. So
Mhm.
that's our mission for the next couple of weeks with our Sagittarian stellium new moon is every day give a stranger a compliment. That would be a good way to lift the vibration.
Well,
You
you
don't
have
know
to
what that
find
person
something
might be.
good to say because if you don't have nothing good to say, don't say anything.
Right, right, right. I have this coat, and this coat is 30, I swear to God, it's 35 years old.
Mhm.
And it was put away for like 20 years, like I forgot about it. And a few years ago, I found it again, and it's the warmest coat. And we've had a cold snap here. And I mean, it's threadbare, right? Along the sleeves and the
Oh, okay,
collar.
yeah.
And I
Mhm.
keep looking at it like I need to repair that, but I just throw it on because it's really warm and lightweight. And I swear more people compliment me on that darn coat. And it's like, That coat is 35 years old. And it's
Yeah,
just,
they know it. It's well made code.
it's just like all different colors and kind of crazy quilt looking crazy coat. I remember getting it on a clearance sale. Nobody wanted it. I remember seeing it and I took my mother to the shop and I was like, I kind of like that. Do you like it? My mom was a Sag. She goes, I love it. You'll never see that anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I wore it a long time. And every time I'd leave the house, my father would go, where are you going with my coat? So I don't know what happened that it got put away for many, many years. I completely forgot about it. And
Mhm.
I guess 3 or 4 years ago, I found it again. I've been wearing it. And it's just so funny to me. It's ragged, basically, but it's just a warm coat of many colors. So, you know, whatever we can do on a daily basis to make somebody have a better day, I think is the mission. And
Okay. I
yeah,
think that's good. My son's birthday is on
I
Thanksgiving.
know. I'm going to get around to his solar return chart. As you see, I've been working a lot of hours
Yeah,
between
just
Medicare.
whenever you have time. No rush.
This plumber was like, "Can I come tomorrow?" I was like, "I'm going to be gone from like 7:30 in the morning until 11:30 at night. No, I'll
Mhm.
stop in to let my dogs out and feed them at some point, but I don't know how that happened."
Hmm.
But anyway, I have a lot to make up to catch up on living on credit cards for 6 months. So
Oh yeah, I know how that is.
yeah. So I was drawn to, because of centaurs, unicorns.
Okay.
I thought we
And
would use our unicorn cards for each zodiac sign and have some kind of little ditty for the new moon in Sagittarius,
mhm.
stellium with Venus and Mercury, making a trine to Jupiter, going direct. You should be having expansion and major opportunities. Here's another funny thing when you're reading charts. If Jupiter is on the horizon, your body can actually expand. And so we're coming to the time of year when a lot of people gain weight,
Mhm.
so eating too much and their bodies are expanding. So you might want to be mindful of
The
the energies
expansion.
right now would support your body physically expanding. So
Mhm.
think about that when you're going back for the third piece of pie.
Uh,
Hey, hey, what's the likelihood of this? The first day of my new job, they had their Thanksgiving luncheon. I was fed well. The
mhm.
second day of training, they catered lunch and gave me lunch. And then when I came back to town to be at the office where I'll be, that was their Thanksgiving luncheon.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, the first 3 days I had two Thanksgiving luncheons, and the whole time I'm sitting with a room of strangers going, I'm really grateful to get this job. This gives me some stability and takes some pressure off.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
I need it. Yeah.
Yes. And
And
yeah,
not many places anymore pay for your medical insurance. They pay 100% of your medical insurance.
100.
100%.
Wow. I haven't heard that in a
They
long
pay
time.
for long-term, short-term disability, life insurance, dental, eye, um, what's the other thing? Of course, a 401k plan is in there. Oh, and it's downtown, and I've never worked anywhere downtown that pays for your parking, and they pay for parking, which is usually a couple $100 a month.
So are you working physically in a location again?
Downtown, yeah,
Again?
yeah.
Oh
But
shit.
this is really great because I'm by myself in my own little world.
So you don't have that
Nobody,
whole office like crap that you had. Like was it Office
no,
Space?
I know, I know. It's like, it's perfect.
Okay, cuz I remember those days.
It's like it's the people I work for are in another town,
Okay, so that
but they
makes it
tried to find someone to fill the position in their city. and couldn't. So they expanded it to surrounding cities. And as long as I was willing to go and do the training there, I could stay here. And it's great. I'm
So how
so,
often do you have to do training?
it was just like, the onboarding where you get your laptop computer and
Okay, so just the initial.
your parking pass and your codes for things and the training on the software they use. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just feel like, I don't know if y'all remember a couple of months ago, I turned down an offer and it felt real strange because I really needed a job, and to turn down one, but my whole being was just like, don't take that job. That's a miserable situation. And I've been working my butt off, not making any money in retail and just schlucking it out. And I found this by myself. There were no recruiters. I just found an ad and I applied, and it just worked right on out. And I'm like, there's another thing to be said for listening to your gut.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
you're gonna save yourself from the extra BS that went
Yeah.
with, just going with emotions.
It's really cool because I'm in an office with people who have nothing to do with what I do. And the people that I do have something to do with are, you know,
Far
I
away.
guess like, let's see, probably 150 miles away.
Mhm. I think that sounds good.
I know, it's like you get frustrated, you just shut it on down and come on home.
Mhm. No, that sounds good.
Yeah, at
Okay.
least for now. Yeah,
Yeah.
better
So,
than the alternative.
uh-huh.
All
Okay,
right.
so I have Aries pulled up, so we can pull for Aries.
Aries goes first because Aries is the first sign of the natural zodiac.
Mhm.
It
So
represents children,
yes.
the head and face.
So I pulled out nature, and it says ground yourself, find a sanctuary in nature, and connect to the elementals.
Oh, I like that. This
Yeah.
says, wish upon a star, make a wish, and expect the very best.
Wow, that's nice. So Aries, maybe it's time to go out to ground yourself, and your wishes will come true. That sounds really good. Yeah,
So Aries is also a fire sign like Sag. So that's what's called a trine or lady
Mhm.
luck. So that does bring gifts and opportunities to Aries.
So Aries, if you're out and about, like, I don't know, something good might happen. That's actually a good thing. All right, next we have Taurus.
And the bull represents the throat and neck. So as we go around the natural zodiac, we're going down the body from the head to the feet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, oh, I love this. It's okay to be different. You don't need to be like everyone else. You're perfect just as you are. I love that.
Oh, okay. So I also have sanctuary. Take time out from the world, spend more time alone, meditate, or go on a retreat.
Love it.
So spend more time, maybe doing some reflection, and it's okay to be different and not follow the crowd like a Sag, right?
Right.
Yeah, that sounds good. You know,
Yes. Yes.
it's
I
okay,
can't wait to,
Taurus. You can do
pardon?
your thing. Like,
I was going to say, I can't wait till, let's see, our Gemini full moon is December 7th and 8th. And I can't wait to hear about the newness and different things people discovered during this Sagittarius new moon, because it will bring expansion and new opportunity.
I think that sounds good. I'm really hoping that 2023 is going to be, at least in the very beginning, different. Like,
So Gemini is all about the arms, the hands, the lungs, yeah, down below the throat from
mhm.
Taurus.
Mm. Okay, so I have here imagination. Envision a new reality. Give yourself permission to dream. Believe in unlimited possibilities.
I like it. This is, you'll know in the morning when you wake up, you'll have a better idea about what to do. Relax until then. Yeah, Gemini's mind can get going too quick, right?
Oh, yeah, all over the place.
Yeah. And that ruled by Mercury, which is part of this new moon stellium.
So,
Geminis might be feeling a little frazzled right now.
yeah, so I mean, just it's okay to let your mind wander, but get back to center after you're
Yes.
done. All right, next we have here Cancer.
So Cancer rules the stomach and the breast area.
Which might expand.
Yeah.
To say.
Don't get second helpings. Just repeat to yourself. Don't get second helpings. I have such good memories of my mom cooking for days, and God, you'd eat and then you just fall out in the floor in front of a fire. And I don't know. I'm glad I have those memories. It's sad to think it was all a bunch of hooey, but my mom cooked really good.
I have to agree. Like, I love it when my mama cooks. I watch her in the kitchen.
This is so funny what came up.
What happened? What is it?
Exercise. Run, walk, swim, or otherwise move your body. This will give you more energy and happiness.
Uh,
How
and
apropos for Thanksgiving week.
I know, right? And then I also have your support. Ask for help, get more rest, and nurture yourself.
Oh,
Yeah, so
very
exercise
Cancerian.
and really get the support, and you'll be all right. It's not that bad. Look, this girl is sleeping on the back of that unicorn. So
Oh,
that could be the support from Mama upstairs.
yeah,
She was like, "It's okay, honey. You can
right,
eat but exercise."
right.
All right, next we have Leo.
So Leo is the heart and upper back.
Ooh, that's a lot.
Oh, Leo, it says talk about your feelings. Tell a friend how you feel. Well, this Leo has certainly done a lot of that tonight. Thank you, people, for uh, letting
Listening.
me babble on.
Yeah. And I have miracles. Have faith that your miracle is on its way. Your prayers have been answered. Surrender the how.
All
Oh.
right.
So, yeah, miracles are actually manifesting. And when you talk about your feeling, how do you feel about certain things? And things will just happen.
And come from the heart. Yeah.
Hmm. So that's a good release.
Yeah.
I
So
like
it's,
it.
going to be difficult telling people that it's all a bunch of hooey hooey what they're celebrating, but go about it anyway.
Hmm. Hmm. So next we have here Virgo.
So Virgo is the intestines and nervous system.
So then about the stomach too.
Yeah. They get their nerves all tied up by analysis paralysis.
Mm-hmm. I have past lives. Release your past life karma. You are an old soul with deep wisdom. Healing your past lives will raise your vibration.
Nice. And this is love from your parents. No matter what, your mother and father love you as much as they can.
So, Virgo, just know that maybe you had past lives with your parents, and we're in a time of like family gatherings and
Right.
get-togethers, and Virgo is very like parental type anyways, and just know that you're loved, and people love
And
you.
people can only love with the capacity that they know or have.
Hmm. Yeah, especially if you come from a broken family,
Yeah.
but But yeah, I don't know. I really feel like let it go. If you have like a bad experience with that, if you accept things as they are, then you can overcome your past life karma with your family.
And astrology would say that we choose the parents we're born to and the time we're born,
Yeah,
which is
so
another hard thing to believe because they can be abusive and make life hell. But
mhm. I guess some like it hardcore. Bring it on, like
let me just get this over with.
yeah, I can handle the torture.
Yes.
Yeah. So next we have Libra.
So Libra is the kidneys and ovaries and lower back area.
My back. I always talk.
Oh goodness, we talked about this earlier for this new moon, Libra. Try something new. You'll only know that you can do something. You'll only know that you can do something if you try. This makes me think of art. Libra is ruled by Venus, and Venus loves to beautify their surroundings and can be very artistic.
Mm-hmm. And I have growth. Seek out a mentor or guide. Take baby steps as you grow. Be willing to learn from others. It's actually really good. So try something new and grow with it. Try not to go from, 0 to 100. It does take time, but, start today.
And play.
Yeah, and then by December, maybe you've manifested something, you know.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so next we have a Scorpio.
So that would be the reproductive organs and elimination organs. Scorpios get a bad rap. Ruled by Pluto. This says change. The changes that you're going through are positive.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Scorpios don't like change, right?
But
Wow.
that's the only thing that's permanent, right?
Yeah, I have here a partnership. It says teamwork will give you better results. Find trustworthy people to partner with. Build up a talented support team. And for a Scorpio, it's really hard to find good people,
Yeah.
to partner up with. And so embrace this change and you'll be possibly pleasantly surprised is what I'm getting. That's actually really good. I've been looking for trustworthy people like my programmers. My programmer was like, "I'm sorry, I can't help because I'm helping my brother getting married this month or actually in December." And I'm like, "Well, you're my lead."
Right.
Like, hello, like, like
Nothing like leaving me in a glitch, right?
I know. I was like, I know that we're in the holiday season, but I need like my support. But he's been with me for a while and he's like family, so I understand, like, and he's from India, so the Indian culture is like, it's
Very
a really
family.
big ordeal for them to like prepare for a wedding. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, I need help too.
Plan B.
I need help. So next we have Sag.
The hips and thighs.
So I have here patience. Pause before you take action. Trust that divine timing is at work. Be patient and play whilst you wait.
And I got believe in yourself. See yourself doing well, and you will.
Okay, so believe and just trust. I think that's good, and I know that Sag likes to, kind of go out and do stuff, but just know that everything happens for a reason. But, in the meantime, you can play while you wait.
Yes.
Yeah. You just have to believe and you will succeed.
And that element of education is very Sagittarian, like reading about things,
Mm-hmm.
researching, if you don't physically get into a class, but on your own, like some kind of self study.
Oh, yeah. I can definitely see that. So next we have Capricorn.
Capricorn is the knees.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So I have trust, leap into the unknown, have faith, and move forward. Believe you will fly.
Oh, I like that. I have water, drink more water, and eat foods with water in them, such as fresh fruits and vegetables. So,
Don't eat.
Capricorn, don't work so hard.
I was about to say, don't eat turkey. So, water is also like a psychic
Right.
conduit. If you just trust into whatever you feel uncomfortable with, everything will actually be okay. You have to follow your intuition also, is what I'm getting from that. Yeah.
Very cool, Capricorn. Take some holiday time to rejuvenate.
Don't say that. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try at least for one day.
Yes, at least.
Okay. I'll
Oh,
do it. I think I still have kitchen duty. Like cooking is a job.
it
I ain't gonna
is.
lie. Like cooking is not like some leisure type thing unless you love to cook and you're just like, oh, yeah, let me cook this and that. No, I be sweating in the kitchen like, oh my God, my back hurts. Like, I gotta look at this food.
I know. Then you got to clean up after it.
Yeah, that's why I need the kitchen maid. I need that
Yeah.
robot. All right, so now we have Aquarius.
That's the ankles and the calves. I got love heals fear. The power of your love can help bullies and angry people to be less afraid.
Wow. I
Very
actually
interesting.
have two cards, and one of them is anger. It says, safely express your anger. Use anger as a positive force. Honor all of your emotions as sacred. And the second one, it says growth. Seek out a mentor or guide. Take baby steps as you grow. Be willing to learn from others. So love heals the fear. Maybe this is about anger. You might get angry around this time, but you're going to learn something from it. That's what I'm getting from that.
Yeah. Love heals fear. No truer words can be said.
Mm-hmm.
That should be our mantra for the remainder of the year. Love heals fear. Love heals fear.
That's easier said than done.
It is. Fake it till you make it.
I know, right? So last we have Pisces.
And the feet. Yes, a lot of Pisces people have feet problems.
Yeah, I know. Let's see here.
Oh, oh, this is so good.
What is
So,
it?
healer, you have the power to help and heal others, which is so true.
Oh, yeah, that's such a Pisces trait.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And then I have miracles. Have faith that your miracle is on its way. Your prayers have been answered. Surrender the how.
Cool.
So healing and miracles. So Pisces, have faith that things are actually good.
Or
And
that someone that you didn't think was going to get out of a hospital to celebrate is a miracle and does.
I think my brother's working on Thanksgiving Day. He works at the hospital.
And if everybody wants to take a moment to ask their question in their mind, this is on the bottom of the deck.
Yes. Okay. I didn't have a question, but yeah.
Answer to your question is a strong yes. That was on the bottom of the deck.
So let's see. Let's look at the chat. Doing dishes is job. Yeah, it is. This cap is sleeping on everyone and everything.
In my family growing up, my mom was the cook, and I always called my dad the dish keeper because she would slave and sweat and cook. And then at the end of it all, he would just stand at the sink and do all the dishes very quietly. He was very Piscean.
Well, my mama, she's a Virgo. My dad's a Taurus. My mama will cook and clean. My daddy will just come to the kitchen and eat. And he will leave
A
when
good
he's done.
Taurus would.
And he'll go to the TV and watch his program.
Well, I tell you, I picked up yesterday from this girl's house to upload to Etsy this really cool iron bowl. It's really old and it's like the bowl, like that traditional shape. It's
Mhm.
really cool. And this lady is, almost 70 years old, and it was her father's, and he was a Taurus.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. So all of her stuff is outside because it was so dirty, because
Mhm.
it's either been in a shed or just packed away. And I don't know if there's spiders or critters in there, but we've had some really cold nights. So I'm like, I'm leaving it outside at least till it rain, till I see rain coming, because it just needs to all get a good frost.
Frost and a blowout or whatever.
Yeah, kill bugs, kill spiders. And but yeah, I will try to have that next time. It's a very cool piece.
Okay,
Very
yeah, I
unique.
can't wait to see that.
Yeah. 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 Two of those iron banks, like that have movement. You like put a coin, one is a sailboat in a lighthouse, and you
Mhm.
put the coin at the lighthouse and the sailboat like goes to it and puts it in the slot.
Oh,
And then
that's
one is a
cool.
monkey like in a circus, and he's playing his drum and the coin flips and goes into the bank. And these are all really old. I mean, she's no spring
Oh.
chicken, and all this stuff is from her childhood.
Yeah, I'm interested in the monkey one.
Okay. Well, like I said, I was leaving everything out there because everything's really dusty. And so, first off, I want to research the best way to clean iron, because a lot of it is just really dusty iron. And I want to make sure whatever I clean it with is appropriate without
Mhm.
affecting the surface.
Mhm. I wish I had an answer for you. I don't.
I'm
The
gonna,
thing that I recently come across is that if you have tarnished jewelry, you use
yes.
toothpaste.
Oh,
And
really?
yes, and it blings it right up. And
Did
oh,
it work?
yes, yeah. If you have jewelry that's got rust on it and it's tarnished, you just put you a little bit of toothpaste on there and scrub it on there, and it's
Nice.
bright and shiny, and you're like, wow. You
Nice.
never knew that tarnished stuff would polish right up.
I
There.
know. I have a lot of tarnished stuff.
Yeah, toothpaste.
You know, oh, good. I'm glad you like your candle holders. I appreciate you shopping there. And I have not been doing as much as I would like to upload, but I have been selling things, a lot of antique glass and earrings. And spiders represent communication. They believed that they brought the alphabet to mankind. And when we see spiders, it should be a reminder notice to communicate. I don't know if that applies to you or not, but um, my mother would never kill a spider. She had a real affinity for spiders.
Well, I didn't kill spiders until well, I killed spiders up until I went to New York to become a Buddhist.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that story?
No.
Okay, so I went to New York to see the Karmapa. The Karmapa is like the Dalai Lama. So there's like, three major Tibetan, traditions that you could, study under. And I study under the Kagyu lineage. And so I go up to New York. I want to become a Buddhist under the Karmapa himself. It was a
Yeah.
big ordeal.
Yeah.
And so I went up there, and two incidences happened on the way back down. And so the first thing is that we had a little bumper action.
Oh,
Yeah. Like somebody bumped into us like while we were driving down, back to North Carolina, which is where I was living at before. And so that happened. And then we decided to go to a Buddhist monastery, the Jade Buddha. I don't know if the Jade Buddha is actually in Maryland or Virginia. I don't know.
somewhere
But
around there.
yeah, so we go there, we catch it late at night, and it was a beautiful place, it was outdoors. So the next day when I go home, I noticed like this big thing on the side of my stomach, and it
Oh,
blew up into like a donut. Like it hurt.
yeah.
And I was like, what is this? And the only thing I can think of is that we were out at night. I don't even know if a spider crawled up in my clothes,
Yeah.
and I got bit. But I
Did it
just
leave a scar by any chance? I got bit by a spider when I was very young, and I still have the scar from it.
I don't know. It's in my stomach. I can look later. I'm not gonna be showing my stomach to the public. Let me check my stomach.
I'm just curious because
Uh,
some of those spiders can really do some damage.
It was hurtful. Like I thought I was gonna die. So my son was going to like a private school at the time, and I was living with my family. And I said to my mom, I was like, I need to go see I need to go to the hospital. And she's okay. I take Casimir to to the school. I said, "I need to go to the hospital." I didn't say, like, it's like she like, went over her head, like, I absolutely needed to go see a doctor. I was feeling like I was gonna die, like, I need to call 911. And she was
Oh
like, "Yeah,
my
I'll just
gosh.
take, him to go to school." And I'm like, "Man, my mom is so oblivious. She don't know what the heck is going on." And I was in pain. So I go see the doctor, and he gives me like this medicine that they administer to anthrax patients. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what I have, but they did like an X-ray on it, and it was just a mass. Like it was
Wow.
like, they couldn't find anything in it. And so, as far as I know, it was a spider bite. So
Wow.
ever since then, because I felt like it was karma. It was instant karma, and that was
Right.
the whole thing. And so I was like, okay, so am I not gonna kill spiders? Like, so I have a bunch of spiders where I'm at now. I just, I
Let
don't,
them be.
I grab it, I get a little container, and I take it outside.
Yeah. I
I
know
don't
what
like
you
spiders.
mean.
I don't like them, but whatever. They're not
It
saying much.
depends if they have spots or not. The ones that have spots, I smush. If they look pretty harmless, I get them outside, but some of them can do some damage.
Oh yeah, my friend, he had like these Japanese spiders at his house. They look deadly. They're like yellow and black.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
in his trees and all over the place, but he said that they were harmless, but they look deadly.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't know. My spiders don't look like that, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so I don't kill the spiders. So two big spiders frozen, your double petted, yeah. I never seen a frozen spider though.
I haven't either.
Yeah. I mean, where do they crawl up?
I guess so.
Yeah. So yeah. So I guess at this point, does anybody have any questions for Sunny at this time? And if you guys are interested in booking a reading with her, you can navigate to her website. It is www.lionmountainhealing.com. And also you can visit her Etsy store, etsy.com/shop/ Lion Mountain
Relics.
Relics. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Lots of relics.
Yeah, check it out. I haven't looked in a while. I should check it out after I get off. But I'm interested in that monkey thing.
Okay. Well, I'm going to research best way to clean up dust from iron. And I must have brought home at least 12 iron pieces.
Okay.
And two of them are banks, the old mechanical like banks,
Mm-hmm.
and lots of pigs. And
It
she had some
depends on the
interesting
pig.
pieces. Um, of course, my weakness is art. I brought home 3 pictures. Do y'all remember the movie that Kevin Costner did called Bull Durham?
Yeah, that was filmed in.
Let's see, Susan Sarandon and what was it, Tim Robbins. But it was like the lower levels of baseball, how they travel and work up to the big leagues and everything. I thought it was one of the funniest movies. And I guess when it came out, my girlfriends and I, it was really popular. A friend of mine made me this decoupage box that has all these pictures from that movie. And so I guess when it came out and how it hit us, we always loved that movie. And this framed print that I brought home, I did not know this, but there's evidently some old tobacco company that was called Bull Durham, and it's a original print by a fairly well-known artist of like a tobacco warehouse. And it has like the bull and Bull Durham logo on the side. And it kind of tickled my funny bone because, we just always, that movie had so many funny parts to it.
That might be worth something though.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I'll get it together. I think they're calling for rain to come in here Friday. So I know I have to get that stuff into the shelter before Friday.
Or it'll rust more, right?
Yeah. It's been like in the 20s here at night. It's been cold.
Yeah, that's the thing about the East Coast is that it can get bone chilling cold and it can get really hot.
We've had frost on the windshield, so
Yeah,
yeah,
we don't have that here. It's just cold.
yeah,
It's raining here right now. It's like in the 50s, like 40s and 50s. It'll probably go down the low 30s,
yeah.
but not 20s, you
Well,
know.
it's been warm pretty much all fall. I have tulip bulbs to get in the ground and keep missing the right day to do it, but we've been known to have some pretty warm weather in December around here, so
Mhm.
hopefully this is just a cold snap. And I do not like winter. I do not like the heating bills that winter brings.
I was about to say, like, I kind of got used to the winter. I mean, I
Is
guess,
Luna doing all right?
yeah, I put her in the playpen,
Yeah,
so she's not playing. She looks so sad and depressed when I like kind of leave her alone. I can tell when she's happy
but
and
it's
when
good to have that separation, for both of you. It's
she
good for
needs
them to
it.
be able to
Well,
be
I've
alone.
noticed that in the mornings she's all tired and she sits behind me while I do like the readings. But at night, okay, after I do my private readings, after I take my bath, she gets excited. She'll like she knows like it's time for mama to play. She's got
Right.
her ball. I call it old ball and chain.
Yeah.
She is the cutest little thing ever. And then she has like this happy look on her face. So
Oh,
yeah, she's such a sweetheart. I've never really had such an animated, well, not, I'm not, she's just a different temperament, and it's so
yeah.
refreshing to have a girl pug.
Yeah.
Like I'm so used to having like boy dogs. Like girl dogs are different, and I like it. I think if for as long as I'll have Luna, if I were to have another dog, I'll go for a girl dog again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like it.
I think I told you I registered both of my dogs for December dog obedience classes. I have
Mhm.
a friend willing to go to take one, and so they'll both be in classes at the same time. I have just been taking Leon, and Mojo just raises hell when I leave and leave him alone, right?
I know, little guy.
So then when we come back, I take Mojo out on his one-on-one time.
Aw.
And so this time it's a lady friend of mine who she's done a lot of dog stuff in the past but been away from it for a long time like I have. And she said, well, I'll help you, but I want Mojo. Mojo's more compliant. Leon's a wild thing.
Well, I think Leon knows he's about to get his.
I don't know.
Did he get his hip certified?
He did, yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
he's had
okay.
his hips, eyes, and what's the other thing? Heart.
Uh-huh. Okay,
And the
good.
next shows that I'm thinking about registering for that are close enough to drive to easily is like January 28th.
Oh, okay. You think he's ready for that?
No, but it's just kind of fun to do.
Uh-huh, just to kind of get out there and see.
That's a lesson about changing perspective, because when I was more involved with dog clubs and everything, like in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000, boy, I had real strong opinions about the politics and the rules and everything. And then when I went the other week, it was kind of like, screw these people. They take life too seriously. I'm just here to have fun with my dog.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them will shave whiskers, and I'm not going to do that. I refuse to do that.
Oh yeah,
And
that's a natural thing that they need.
my position is, if a judge can't tell the shape of a dog's head with the whiskers, and that's the judge's problem. Well,
Mm-hmm.
20 some years ago, it was like, boy, I was doing the grooming and doing everything that, they said judges liked. And so the second day that I was at this show with Leon, he's on the table and the judge looks at him, he goes, he's a mess. And I know it's because he had his whiskers. And I was like, I know he is a mess. And I laughed. And that's just, it's like a total change in my perspective. I'm kind of like, judge, you're the one with the problem if you have a
Well,
problem.
didn't he place?
Yes, he did. He did last in his class each day. But he got ribbons. I got ribbons.
So, I mean, that's something,
And
right?
his breeder, who is my vet, was there. She shows labs, and she came over to where we were, and she's a sweetheart, and she was glad to see us out. I was like, well, he didn't win or anything, but we got a ribbon. And her feeling was, well, but you're out. You're out doing something. Not just working and sitting at home. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
No, that's good. Yeah, to kind of like get out there and
I
do
almost backed
something.
out because I knew we weren't ready, and then I thought, you know what? I have just as much right to be here as they do, just because it's not my profession or I don't take it that seriously doesn't mean I shouldn't participate. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like $30 to enter your dog in a show. And I thought, you know what? I paid the money. I'm here. I'm going to follow through. And the first day, he really embarrassed me. He was terrible. The second day, he was a little better.
Oh, okay.
It's crazy. It's really the classes train you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now I have a friend back in North Carolina. He would uh, go to these dog shows. Like he was really big into it, and so
Yeah.
I can understand where you come across
People
people.
get really diehard serious.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money in it, the breeding and everything. And so I did not know this, but I found out that evidently at Westminster, this last show, a French bulldog named Winston made second place. And that French bulldog was at these shows where I was at. and he's handled by a man named Perry. And usually those professional handlers can be somewhat stuck up and don't like people like me that are amateurs.
Mhm.
But Perry was wonderful to me. I was outside with my dog and he came out and he goes, "I'm so glad you're here." And I'm like, "I know, because I'll never beat you. But, he was just very friendly. And that little dog was really animated and cute. So it's
Oh.
kind of cool to see, the dog that was on TV, in person. And
Mhm.
he's a cute little dog.
I know. I love bulldogs, English bulldogs. Well, I like the whole thing, like, the Frenchies, the bulldogs, my pug,
The
I
flat,
like.
flat, flat face and no tail, right?
Yeah. Well, mine has a cute little tail, but they all kind of look the same.
So, Sagittarius rising, how's the moon going to affect me? I would watch your weight because moon and stomach and Jupiter direct, you could go on a fast and still maybe pick up a little
Gain.
weight. So, maybe like that card said, a little extra exercise. Um, with the moon involved, that's the emotional body. So, healing something that needs a new perspective would be Sagittarius new moon. Um, it being on your rising is about your physical body. It rules the hips and thighs. So, you know how we all carry weight differently, and when we gain weight or lose weight, it's all different. So, a Sagittarius rising might carry more weight in their hips and thighs than upper body, like
Mhm.
more of a pear shape. Um, if you've had any prior injuries to the hips or thigh area, it could possibly be re-aggravated. So if you are exercising, take extra precaution and make sure you're doing proper body mechanics and how you're moving or lifting or doing your thing. Uh, so yeah, I would say you'd feel more energetic too, kind of fired up emotionally. Don't hold back.
Mhm.
My mom was a Sag, and people would always say about her, you always knew where she stood. Right? She shot from the hip, is the expression. So you might have an opportunity to shoot from the hip and don't hold back if it's the truth. If it's the truth you're feeling, don't be afraid to express it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else?
Just everyone have a good couple of weeks. We'll talk about a Gemini full moon, December 7th and 8th. I'll have to look at when that is.
Mhm.
And Gemini, so sign of the twins, full moon. That could be some accelerated activity in the twin department,
Yeah. Um
unexpected communication.
I've been channeling that a lot for the twins, that there's communication that's coming through, like another wave of twins that are going to get into contact with their divine counterpart. Um, so yeah, I mean, it is it is a thing that I see.
And this is an energy again about visions and dreams. So if you're feeling challenged, try to spend more time meditating on what your dreams and visions are and taking baby steps to get closer to that.
Sounds good to me. I
I'm
mean,
blunt. I am too.
mhm. Your sun is Aquarius.
Try not to dread anything, Jabaka. We'll send you lots of healing light and just be gentle with yourself.
Yes, and if you guys are celebrating, happy Thanksgiving.
Yes. Be grateful for wherever you are with whatever you're dealing with, and it will transmute into the thing that you really want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Try not to fight it.
Right.
Go with the flow.
Okay. So I'm gonna let people go because I know I'm getting low sugar
I'm
over
out of
here.
water.
I'm tired. Like I need to cook dinner. My kitchen maid
Oh,
isn't here.
oh, we'll have to work on that kitchen maid.
uh, I don't know. I don't even do meal prepping. I just don't have the energy to even do that either because everyone in my house eats different.
Well, and I
So
think we're in a time of conserving our energy, so don't feel bad about that. They're
yeah,
lucky that they have food and you to care enough to fix it for them.
I know, right? Like I can't wait. After this, I'll be eating sides for days. I hope that we have enough sides for days, you know. Anyway, so
Did you buy cranberries?
no,
I love
because
cranberries.
my boys they don't eat it. I would eat it, but then I would be the only. But that's an extra item I would have to prepare, and so
So, Shubaga, don't apologize, sweetie. We're here with you in spirit.
yes, we're here.
Will
That
get better.
we support each other, so don't worry.
Well, I really appreciate everybody's time and hope I hear from you on my website and or my email is lionmountainhealing@gmail.com if I
Mm.
can answer any questions. And we'll reconvene this madness sooner than you think.
Yeah, it's around the corner.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And hopefully my throat and sinus will be cleared up by then.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you
I'll be
want
less confused,
You know
less
what I've
annoyed.
tried, and I don't know if you have the energy to do this, but get a grapefruit and
Oh,
eat some
I don't
grapefruit.
have any grapefruit. I thought you were going to say the neti pot.
No, the grapefruit. Like I try that, and if you had like that trickle down, like that
Yes.
stuff will like clean up the gook and
Yeah.
like it'll like go down the drain.
I've been sucking on zinc tablets. I've heard
Well, yeah,
zinc is
that'll
good.
help too. But I ate like the grapefruit,
Yeah.
and I feel good.
All right. I will
So
get some then.
it's like
I'm very
medicine.
obedient. If you tell me what to do, I'll do it.
Just plain old natural grapefruit. I don't have to do nothing special.
I will get some tomorrow.
Sounds good. Let
Thank
me
you. That's a
know how
great
you
tip.
feel. Yeah.
See, we help each other figure it all out.
Mhm. Mhm. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna let y'all go
All
and make
right. Well,
sure
happy
you.
cooking.
Yes, thank you, ma'am,
All
and
righty.
I'll see you next time.
Yes, I'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Bye
All
bye.
righty. Night.